Hi, welcome to the Organic You. This is just a quick session to give you the recipe that I did in making some low sodium mac and cheese. Now, everybody has their own recipe, but the focus of this is to take note and reduce your sodium that you're getting in your prepackaged products. So, what I have on the stove here, and I'm going to turn you around. I'm in the kitchen today, so I have quite a few items out, and we're taking a look at those. And I'm going to lower you here and bring you over to the stove. There we are. That's more towards the stove. And what I have in the pot right now is very simple. Just some water that I'm putting on to boil. I am not going to add any dairy to this mac and cheese. I am going to be using Daiya cheese. The sodium count on this is 240 milligrams. So I want you to be aware this is going to be the only source of sodium in this dish. We're not using any dairy, no milk. I am using organic pasta. And you can use the millet or the sorghum, whichever one you like. They're both gluten-free. And they have no sodium. So that's a great thing. And I'm just waiting for my water to boil. We will not put any salt in the water. What I am going to add to the water is this olive oil, which is infused with a butter flavor, which will help enhance the flavor. Also, to give it more of a robust cheese taste, I'm going to add in some powdered mustard. That with the Daiya cheese give you a good cheddar flavor to your mac and cheese. And as the water comes up to a boil, I normally just put in a few glugs, but since I'm doing this so that you can follow a recipe, I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of butter infused olive oil. And since this is the focus is on cooking today, I'm going to keep you centered on the stove so that you can see what's going on. And 1 tablespoon. Now this asks for 2 things. One, it helps to keep your pasta from sticking. And I know there's arguments back and forth about does it work or you don't need to do that. Personally, I like it because the big thing to this being a sodium-free pasta sauce is that I use the water that the pasta is cooked in as the base to the sauce. That's the catch to this. So I season the water because it is going to become the sauce. And I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon, and I have that here, 1/4 teaspoon of mustard powder into the water. Remember, we're going to keep this water because this is going to be the base of our cheese sauce for our pasta. But we're going to cook the pasta in this, so we get a double flavor because that starch that comes off of the noodles when you cook it settles into the water, which gives us the thickening. Then we add the cheese, the Daiya cheese, to the pot, which helps us build the sauce. And then we put the pasta back in. So I'm going to give that a quick stir to help everything blend together, just to get everything moving. And again, this is to reduce sodium. So if you're dealing with any type of heart health issues, any dietary restrictions on your sodium intake, this is a good recipe to do that. What I look to do is, it's difficult to give up the foods that you are accustomed to or that you enjoy and that you're used to. And so what I look to do is try to give you healthy ways to have that similar taste and flavor of products that you like or recipes that you like, but just reduce the negatives that's usually associated with those particular recipes. So I'm going to take 1 cup, because I'm only making a small amount of the pasta. And the water has come to a boil. It's a rapid boil. And I'm going to pour let's say a heaping cup. 1 cup of pasta. And we can set that aside now. And the water is rapidly boiling. I'm going to add the pasta. And when you add in the pasta, the water will tap down a little bit from the boil, but let it come back up to a rapid boil. Now, I do not like my pasta al dente. Some people like it that way. You can cook your pasta to whatever taste profile that you like. But I like mine very well done. So I like for it to boil a while to get very tender. Even though it continues to cook when you build out the sauce, I like mine to be very tender. And I'm going to get my cheese ready here. Again, we're using Daiya Cheese, and this is the cheddar style cutting board collection shreds, which makes it a little bit easier melting point. And I usually start out with a cup, but depending on how cheesy you want your sauce to be, you can use the entire bag, which would be this, which is this is 7.1 ounces. But I usually try to start with 1 cup and see what my sauce is looking like from there, and then I may add a bit more. It's always easier to add than to try to extract. So I always start low and work my way forward. Now this is boiling rapidly, and as you can see, I'm just going to let you see the pasta is not. When this pasta is done, it will get very, very wide and a little translucent, and that's what you get when you're working with gluten-free pastas. So I'm going to stir it just to keep it from sticking a little bit. Now again, you notice I didn't put any salt in the water. This is a low sodium version. Still very bold in flavor, still very tasty, but we're working towards not having dairy in it, not having added salt. The only salt content is coming from the cheese, which is the Daiya cheese. So we've reduced that. When you normally have milk, you have salt, you have dairy cheese, and cheese itself has salt. So you usually have all of those layers of salt and sodium when you make macaroni and cheese. But with this is the only source. This is the only source of the sodium. The pasta does not have any sodium. The olive oil does not have any sodium at all. But you still get that texture and flavor that you look for in mac and cheese. So I'm just going to stir here a little bit, and it's at a rapid boil. It should take a couple minutes to get done. Put in the last few drops of the olive oil, and that heat is searingly high. And so we'll wait for that to get done. And I sit this over here because I may go back to get a little bit more cheese. I'm not quite sure yet. And we need a vessel to put our cooking stock in, because when the pasta gets done, we're going to pour the starchy water into our cup. We're going to take the pasta out. We're going to put the water back into the pot, the starchy water with the mustard powder, the olive oil, and then we're going to add in our cheese and start to stir to make our cheese sauce. Because the starch in the water will seize and act as a thickener, and it will be the sauce that we put the pasta back into the pot with. So let me grab a container for the pasta water while that boils. And you can make yourself some notes. This is very easy, very simple, straightforward. I think you can hear the rapid boil going on with the pasta. Now, again, what we are trying to do and put forward here are recipes that help you reduce your sodium intake. We're going to present some recipes that help you reduce your cholesterol. These are the things that impact our bodies in a negative way, and they're really hard to get around if you're not paying attention to the ingredients that you use. And that's the focus of what we are doing here at the Organic You. We're bringing forward information about looking at your ingredients and helping you pick and select the ingredients that will help you reduce those things that are really not that good for your body. And let me do a quick stir again, see how the pasta's coming along. And we have a nice rapid boil. And the oil is keeping it from sticking, which is really good. And I think I'm going to move you over just to get a quick glimpse of what's happening in the pot. That's what's happening. We have a rapid boil going on. I hope I angled that correctly so that you can see it. Real simple, real easy. And I just stir a little bit every now and again just to keep it from sticking. Very easy to do. I use a high heat on the burner so that I can get a rapid boil because it shouldn't take that long. Really simple, really easy. Now, to add a little flavor, I'm going to do 1 twist of black pepper. Some may not like that. It just adds a little extra flavor to the mac and cheese. It doesn't detract from your cheesy taste, but it just gives it a little bit of oomph. And I'm just going to do 1 twist. These are the black peppercorn, organic black peppercorn. Just do 1 twist. When it starts to get a little, the pasta begun to get a little done, it starts to puff up. You just do 1 twist. Just to add a little flavor. It will work well with the Daiya cheese. Again, we're flavoring the water because it will be used to make the sauce. And it's going very well, so let me get ready to pour the water into my bowl. And you can hear that rapid boil happening. Now, like I said, you can cook your pasta to the point where it's al dente. I like mine more well done. Even though we put it back into the pot once we make the sauce and it continues to cook. That's just the texture I enjoy. And let me show you, see how it has, I'm going to get the cup here. See how it has increased in size? That's what I like for my noodles, to be a little more full. You see that they've gotten a little translucent, and that's okay. That's what happens with the pasta that is organic and is gluten-free. And it's getting really, really thick now. So I'm going to turn down the eye. It's just where I want it. So I'm going to drain off the liquid. Make sure I have enough liquid here. Some of the noodles fall in, and that's okay. That's our pasta water. Really good. Now I'm going to put the pasta in this measuring cup because I'm going to put it back in. Oop, I had a little more than I anticipated. So I'm going to sit this here and let me get another container just to pour the rest of the pasta in. There we go. Now we're going to start to build our sauce. This is the pasta water. And notice how thick it is. We're going to put that back into the pot. A few grains of the pasta is in. We're going to add our cheese. Now this is one time when we want to keep the eye on low because we want it to be a slow melt of the cheese into the pasta water. Now if you're making this for a larger crowd, of course, a larger amount of water, a little bit more pasta to accommodate the crowd that you're working with. But because I'm making I'm making some bento boxes, and let me show you those. I do these for my mom, who's 82 now, and I like to make her some lunch dishes so that she can just stick things in the microwave, heat it up when she wants it. And so I measure out some meals here, an entree, 2 sides, and this way I know she's getting a balanced lunch. And then she does what she wants to do for dinner. So she has her autonomy. But I like these because a lot of times, and we do it ourselves, you don't have to be 82, but sometimes we just, as you know, we get to the kitchen and we stand there and we look and we try to think, what do we want for lunch? And lunch should really be your heaviest meal because you're still moving around during the day, you're still active, even if it spans between 11 and 2 in the afternoon, still considered kind of lunch. You want that to be your heaviest meal because your body, your digestive tract can process that food and you're moving around and you get more of the acids that you need to break down your food. So that's why I do more meal-like items for lunch. And this is getting thick really quickly. So you have to keep an eye on it and keep stirring to get the cheese to have an even melt. And keep it on low. As we stir, and you see a few little pieces of the black pepper. Now I probably could have added a little more water, but in boiling the pasta. But we're going to see how much this covers. So I will measure what I put back in. And you can see, let me hold this up for you. See if I can get this right. Or maybe I hold up and this comes over. Maybe that's the better option. And you see how it's a nice, bright cheese sauce. The cheese is melting really nicely, slow bubble. You want to do that while your pot is on low. You don't want to do this really high because it will stick and pull apart. So you want it to be slow. Get a nice stir going here. And see the cheesiness of that? And I'm just stirring so that the cheese, the 1 cup of cheese that I added in, I want it to melt completely before I add in the pasta. And there's some water in the pasta cup, so that will help as well. Now, for those who like the pasta with the breadcrumbs and the butter and all of that, you can do that. I would not do the butter. You can take a little bit of panko, organic, gluten-free, toss it in the butter olive oil, put your pasta in your sheet pan, pour your sauce over, and you can sprinkle a little bit of that over if you want to do the oven style. But I like making my sauce very creamy on top of the stove. I can control the texture. And this is looking really good. It's really thick. Sticking to the fork. And yes, I'm using a fork because I want to be able to pull things apart, break the cheese up, keep it moving. Now this is at the state where I can put the pasta back in. So I'm going to grab my cup, oops, and start to add some of this back in. See how much is it absorbed. I have some pasta water that's drained off the pasta, so that will help the sauce as well. And stir that in. It's looking really good. Again, this is a low sodium mac and cheese. If you're dealing with someone who's, you know, heart healthy, needing to reduce their sodium intake, this is a good option. You don't miss the flavors. Actually, I think I can put all of this in now. I was hesitating because I wasn't sure if I had made sufficient amount of sauce, but it turns out that I did, to get a good covering. Everybody's getting coated really well. And you would be surprised at how much flavor you have with the least amount of ingredients. And I see those recipes where you have 14 cheeses and 20 cheeses. And after a while, they kind of lose the real flavor profile that you may think you're getting, because one cheese is going to dominate the flavor profile. And so what you're really doing is just adding sodium after sodium after sodium when you get to that many layers of cheese. But if that's something that you enjoy, you know, and you're not looking to change your health profile, then you can continue with that. But this is about changing the ingredients that you use, but still have some of the dishes that you enjoy. And I'm going to lift you up here, and let's take a look at how that's looking in the pot. There we are. Looking just like regular mac and cheese, no difference. Now what I normally do, and you will find that if you ever go to Greece or you go to a Greek restaurant, they have a habit of finishing off whatever they prepare with another drizzle of olive oil. And so I do that when I'm doing this mac and cheese. And this olive oil is infused with a butter flavor. So it just adds an extra little bit of flavor to the pasta. And we just do a small drizzle. Now remember, the the cooking eye on the stove is on low. So you add a low, very low simmer. And I'm just going to stir that in. So you get a buttery cheese flavor without an enormous amount of salt, added salt. Whether it's sea salt or kosher salt, if you're trying to reduce your sodium, the best option is try not to use the various table salts. And if you do, reduce those in the amount that's necessary. Now, I like the black lava salt, but you notice I did not use that here because we have sodium that's in the Daiya cheese. So our salt content is coming from the cheese. And that's all that we're going to have. And this is looking really good. If you notice, it tightened up. It covered the pasta. And we used the water that we cooked the pasta in. Now, I know some people like to use chicken broth. But again, those already have sodium in them. If you can find a chicken broth that does not have sodium, I use non-chicken chicken broth because I'm allergic to chicken, but even those have sodium in them. So when I'm making dishes for my mom, who we are keeping her on a very low salt diet and reducing sodium, this is how I do it. I use the pasta water. If you want to make a spaghetti, same concept. I posted a picture of the pasta that I made for her this week. Same thing, I used millet ramen noodles. I cooked them in water. I seasoned the water heavenly. I posted the ingredients that I use, and I will come back and do a video on that as well. And then I added in tomato paste. If you look at the jarred tomato sauces, all of them tend to have a high content of sodium, even the organic ones. You need to read your labels when you're looking to adjust your diet to reduce certain things from a dietary perspective. Look at what your sodium, your salt, your potassium, look at the levels of those, because there's a lot of things that you can make without using the prepared or jarred versions of them. I cooked the ramen noodles in water. I seasoned it with fresh herbs and seasonings and various olive oils. Took the pasta out, put in the tomato paste, and then made my sauce and went from there. But I will do a video on that just so that you can follow along and see what I do there. But this, I'm going to say, is done. It looks really, really good. I'm going to put a little on my dish here just so that you can see. That is excellent. And I'll put my, so that you can see. So I'm going to bring this to you. And that is mac and cheese, low sodium mac and cheese. Well, that's the end of this. I have a couple more things I need to prepare and cook for the week. I'm going to put this back in the pot. I won't cheat. Well, maybe. I may take a taste or two. But I'm going to package this up. I have a couple more items, a couple more videos that I will do today to post some of the things that I'm preparing to go in her bento box. And that's what they're called, bento. B-E-N-T-O. They're really popular. You can find them anywhere. They're great because you can store your items in. You can prep for the week. You can just take them out and put them in the microwave and you're done. You can cook, eat out of them, easy cleanup. They can go into your dishwasher, top rack, but they're so easy that you can just rinse them out in your sink and be done. You know, it's not a difficult item to clean up from. So thanks for watching again. Take a moment, take a look at this. If you're trying to reduce your sodium intake, take a look at it. Try it. Just try it one time. If you don't like it, then you can move on to something else. Um, but it takes a little bit of effort to change your diet. But you don't have to give up everything. You just need to know what changes you need to make it healthier for you. And that's what we're looking to do here. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.